Okay, so this video is a little unscripted, as it has to do with, well, not just the video I'm about to show, at least a clip of, but actually it's something that happened with on Facebook. I don't normally show arguments on Facebook, but it has to do with the ignorance of people who don't have their eyes open, which is actually going to be the main part of this. So let me show you the clip first so you know what I'm talking about, and then I'll push forward.
Welcome back to the comment section. I'm
Volume
Mark
up.
Cooper. We are heading over to India today for this segment. Back in February, the Dalai Lama hosted a charity event where his fans and people could come and meet him and interact with him. And during this event, he had an incredibly uncomfortable interaction with a little boy. But for some reason, that video, even though this happened in February, only started circulating yesterday. And it is now viral. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do, you guys know the drill. Make sure that you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a comment section or off the clock episode. Okay, so this is the clip that has now gone viral. Why are we laughing? Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, it's gonna take a second. This is very awkward. Why are you touching him?
It's my tongue.
It's very, very odd. We should keep that in. Guys, that's Caleb watching that video for the first time in the background. It's very odd. You can't watch that video and think, oh, it's just a little boy. Oh, it's so cute now. No. Are you kidding me? And maybe my impression of this is tainted by the disgusting world we live in, but we live in a disgusting world, everybody. Somebody commented and said this dude just regretted his entire life just watching that. He should regret things because he's still wearing a mask.
The expression on the guy's face.
A girl named Caroline said he is anything
I
but
hope so.
holy, and somebody else said he might be a pedophile.
Now that probably is true.
That is a shorter video of this incident, but that is the one that has gotten the most views. But the whole story is, this little boy was in the audience, and he asked to come up and give the Dalai Lama a hug. The Dalai Lama said, yes, come here, come hug me. And then he asked the boy to kiss him on the cheek, but apparently that wasn't enough. And then we saw in the video, he asked the little boy to kiss him on the lips, which we saw. And then somehow we got to a lingering romantic stare and asking the little boy to suck his tongue. And one thing that was pointed out to me yesterday about this entire incident was about this lingering stare, because I was kind of focused on, obviously, the tongue being stuck out and asking the little boy to suck his tongue. That stare, when he was deciding whether to ask the little boy to do that, where he might be turned on and he's like grazing the little boy's shoulder, it's very gross, it's creepy, it's weird, and now when I watch that it gives me chills, because that is like the weirdest part of the entire thing, just this adult man like fantasizing about asking this boy to do this. But anyway, now we have to watch the whole video. You're welcome, Caleb, get excited.
Yeah.
Kiss, cheek? That would be fine.
Hey, that's not so bad.
He
Yeah, hug.
pulls his arm. He literally is holding on to his child. Oh, come here, come here. That's like me trying to play with my dog. Like, Rocky, kiss me.
I'm gonna pause it for a second. If it was just like, okay, maybe he kissed the kid on both sides of the cheek or vice versa, like something like that, even that could be cultural, and I can, you know, that's one thing. But this is not cultural.
It's my tongue.
Why are you laughing? Why is this story audience laughing? The boy doesn't do it.
So, okay, I'm going to put the full video in the link. Now, clearly, there's some sense that this is supposed to be a joke or humor, as people are laughing and that's supposed to be a joke. And I'm sure maybe it probably was a joke, but it's still a very sick joke. And it's like, how... Again, this video isn't about just with that one thing, as it is with the conversation I'm having with somebody, an argument. But yeah, even though, yeah, it clearly was being used as a, quote, joke, it's not a very funny one. I mean, that's pretty sick. So, okay, I made a post in one of my Facebook groups, and somebody decided to, so I'm going to read these comments as we go. Said, this is propaganda and clickbait for political ends and sell newspapers. The newspapers are just triggering hate and splitting up people. Which, fair enough, like, okay, that's what news does, and they all have, a certain audience that they're, a certain a direction that they want to steer you. Like, that would be a fair enough point normally. I mean, come on, you can't just pretend that didn't just happen. I'm like, I don't know, it looked pretty real to me. And the person replied, hold on, I hate this camera. If the person had committed, come on, phone. There's nothing else in the background. I don't want to put words in someone's mouth that they didn't say. That's why I'm waiting for this thing to focus correctly. Alright, if the person had committed the crime, they would have been arrested and charged under the law. Which I laughed and said, wake up, clearly that's not the case. Did you watch the video, or are you just responding to a title and still frame? So there's multiple things, two sets of conversations here. Now, he did send me, he said he watched the video and he sent me the Satanic Temple Wikipedia, which I opened and looked at. I've seen it before. And, I'll do it quickly because this is the only thing that's... I read through it and I've seen it before, but let me see here. Right here, the social justice. I'm wondering whether or not... I like Aaron Ra, but I've noticed that he's been doing some of this social justice stuff. So, like, even though he's into Satanism-ish, like, I don't agree with everything Aaron Ra says. So, you probably don't know who that is unless I put a link in there. But anyway... I said, okay, and where in the satanic belief system does it promote child abuse? Because I've got plenty of literature and none of it is promoting this. I said, look, I'm not going to pretend that there's clearly a split in Satanism while I stand up for being against religious tyranny. It's because we ignore bigger issues that things get slid under the rug. For example, now, you guys have heard all this before. I'll get to his half here in a second. But it's like, I'm for equal... for gays and lesbians to get married, no problem. I question mental health of adults who want to be trans, but they're adults. They're free to do whatever they wish with their own bodies. However, the line is crossed when children are being indoctrinated and the idea of being encouraged into hormone blockers and then set on a one-way path that permanently wrecks their life before they're mature enough to realize what decision they had made. So we've heard me make these points before. The clip is very small. Example of how people ignore the issues right in front of their eyes. I think it's completely fair to say that we both are Satanists of a different brand. I do not support the idea of child abuse no matter what cultural, religion, or political idea it stems from. So this is on part 2. With this, yeah. I said I'm strongly, I'm getting strong justice warrior vibes me. Oh yeah, I might as well read the... I forget sometimes it cuts off part of the conversation. Give me just a second here. Okay. Here's the part that I've missed here. So, I knew there was more here. So, I hate how this gets all scrambled. But anyhow, when I originally put that, he mentioned way earlier about splitting up people. Yeah, the splitting people up. And I made a separate comment, so I guess that's my fault why this is broken half here. But he said that I told him maybe some people need to be split up if they're encouraging bad behavior. Which he laughed at me and said, I agree, if you're offended, you should not watch TV or read the news. It's not about whether or not you're being offended. It's about whether or not something is actually wrong. So, or maybe pointing out problems rather than being quiet with my head in the sand is exactly what I should be doing. It's because we ignore issues that they get worse. At least I have the backbone to point it out. Keep eating those bug sandwiches, citizen. So he sent me this, and which I looked at it. I'll put it on. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it pretty much just re-says everything that the video talked about. In fact, it actually made it worse because as you read, you can pause this video through here anytime. And it talks about how being disturbed and, the 82-year-old leader behavior in Tibetan culture. Like, I don't care what the culture is. Like, that's not... I doubt that that's... And if it is, that's not what I promote. Let's see here. This is not the first time that Dalai Lama has found himself in hot water. When he suggested that if a woman were to success him, she would be attractive. I'm not sure with that one, but there's a bit here. Here we go. In a recent development, has recently identified an eight-year-old boy. So just because somebody is supposedly identified as a reincarnation, the boy has been recognized as... I don't see how that has anything to do with this. So I read through this, but just because somebody believes in reincarnation doesn't mean that that should promote that kind of behavior toward children. I don't see it. For argument, fuck's sake, even if, let's say that they were right and that was reincarnation of somebody, that somebody is still in a child's body. Like, let the person grow. Like, what the fuck? So I don't really see how this is helpful. So yeah, he sent that, and it didn't really help his argument. So I said, yeah, and I don't care if the guy does believe in reincarnation. I do too. But that doesn't mean that's not fucking weird to ask a kid to suck your tongue. Get off your spiritual bullshit and think about what you're pushing. I read the news clip, and it isn't helping your case. So, the whole reason I decided to make this video is because even in, and I'm not going to post what groups I'm in because that's a little too much information. That should be kept private. But, even though, yeah, I'll show that instead. Even though that, even in satanic groups, like there's some strong blue-pilled people that are like pushing... He was, I lost it on there because it was all scrambled, but he also had made a point. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I closed it out too early. There was another spot. I don't want to be claimed I'm taking somebody's words out of context here. I'll see if I can find it real quick. One moment. That's the only thing I hate about trying to show anything with Facebook, is that sometimes things get scrambled a little. Oh, yeah, I guess I probably already read that. So I'm just rethinking on it again. Saying it's easy to judge people without thinking about the issue of marginalization and cultural situation. What cultural situation should promote behaving poorly toward children? Nothing this guy has said is not just oozing with blue-pilled bullshittery. He's, if the guy was just gave the kid a hug, I would even accept a kiss on the cheek. Like, that can be, I've seen countries do that. That's not too weird. But, like, come on. That joke was really inappropriate for, like, the poor kid. So I'll stop ranting there. I just wanted to make a point. Like, people are, like, you can show straight up camera feed information to people, and they will still refuse to see facts, like see reality for what it is. They will come up with excuses to promote whatever idea that they gives them to feel good vibes. Oh, let's promote cultural things or something. Like, there's nothing cultural about that. And it's frustrating, but I don't know. I just wanted to share that so that maybe if you are suffering from other insufferable people who cannot seem to see what the fuck's right in front of them, you're not alone.